All right, so let's talk a little bit about styling now. This is probably one of the most important things to making your website look good, and it's why our website currently doesn't really look that great. We need to style the website somehow. The first thing I notice is that this font is gross. This is the default font, which is Times New Roman. I'm not a big fan of Times New Roman. I prefer a sans serif font. I don't like all these little accents on all the characters. So let's see if we can change that font. Now, to incorporate style, we can use something called CSS or cascading style sheets. We can put the style right here in the head like this. We just do style, open, close. And remember, anything inside the head is not intended to be seen literally on the page. However, it can affect how the page looks. So the format for CSS styling is you'll have an element, like let's say body, and then you have open brackets like this, open and close, these curly brackets. Now, if I type the word body, that's applying to everything that's inside of the body. So for example, I can change the font. So I'll say font style. And no, sorry, not font style, font family. And then this gives us a bunch of options here, actually. Let's go segue here. I like segue a lot, actually. So what this is saying is try to use segue, okay? And most browsers do have segue. So it specifies a prioritized list of font family names or generic family names. The user agent, which is your browser, iterates through a list of family names until it matches one that's available. So it says, okay, is segue available in this browser? Well, no. So let's go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. And this is one that every browser will support. So once again, VS Code is kind of telling us a list of fonts that, sorry, let me explain this better. So it has a list of recommended fonts in hierarchical order, and Arial's a good one. I'm going to go with segue though. So just by doing this, if I go back over here and then I save here, suddenly the font looks way, way better. And now it's not a sans serif font, it's a serif font. Or sorry, it's not a serif font, it's a sans serif font, which to me looks much, much better. Other things we can do if we want to, maybe we want to give a slight background color to the body of our document. So let's go into here and we can add a background color. Oh, by the way, so the curly brackets, then this is the, like, what are we changing? And then this is the value of that. And at the end, you put a semicolon to separate each of those. So the next one I'll do is background color. And it gives us a nice list of background colors available. Or we can use a hexadecimal value for the color as well. Now, what a hexadecimal color is, it's essentially it's got red, green, and blue. So you'll do it like this. And the first two values equal red. So for example, if I do like 99 for this, then that means the red's going to be pretty high. And then if I do 00 for the green and 00 for the blue, we're going to have a pretty red background here. 99 actually isn't the highest though, because this is hexadecimal, which means it goes 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But instead of going to 10, it actually goes up to 16 characters. So it starts using letters in place of numbers. So it'll go 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. So actually FF is the highest that we can get here, which is the brightest red we can get. Now, once again, VS Code is very helpful because it actually has a color selector for us. So let's say we want just a really light blue, maybe something like this, barely noticeable. Light blue, that's pretty noticeable. Maybe a little bit softer, actually. Yeah, that's pretty good. I want it a little more bright, though. There we go. Just a really faint blue background like that. And it actually gave us the hexadecimal value for that color, which is super nice. Some other things we can do with styling. Instead of applying to the entire body, let's say we only apply it to H1. So let's do H1. And then I'm going to type font family again. And I'm going to do something that's very obvious. Obviously not what we've been doing. Let's do courier here. And what you'll see is only the H1 got changed. So the way this works is it's the cascading part of the cascading style sheets. It will try to do it at the lowest level. It'll see if there's any styling there, okay, and then it'll move up and move up. And it uses whichever one is the most furthest down as the highest priority, which means the H1 in this case takes priority over the font family that we did in the body. So we're kind of overriding that in the H1. So it's the lowest tier of hierarchy as the highest value. So the if I had something applying to header, you know, it would take priority over body, but it wouldn't take priority over H1, at least as far as this specific block of text goes. Another thing we can do here is, you notice we have all of these IDs here on projects, contact, about, all that stuff. Well, we can modify this to, we can set CSS to only style specifically this ID. And the way we do that for an ID is we put a hashtag in front, just the same way that we did here in the hyperlink reference. We put a hashtag in front, and then let's put about, for example. And then inside of here, let's just change the font color to be red, just so we can see how this works. So you can see only that ID was changed. So if I want specific styling for a specific ID, I can do that. Another thing I can do is use classes. So classes are generally used when I don't want it to be specific to one single thing, but one kind of group of things. So for example, these divs here that I created, they don't really have any meaning. So what I can do is apply a class to these. So I can say class equals project div, because I don't want to apply it to every div. Maybe I don't want these divs to have the same styling as these, but I can have styling that is specific to just these ones right here. So div class, we'll do that for all three of these projects, class equals project div. And then let's take this about out. And the way that you select, actually let's leave it in just so we can remember how we select that. The way you can select a class is rather than using the hashtag, you use a dot. And we'll type project div here. And actually, I did this incorrectly technically. I should be using dashes rather than, just as far as naming convention goes for CSS, it's better to use the dashes inside of here. Now for the project div, let's do some styling specific to this stuff. So let's say we want it to have, maybe we want it to have a container around the outside. So let's say we give it a different background color. So we'll give it a background color like maybe black, and then we'll change the font color to white. And now we can see here we have all of these kind of grouped ones here. And some other cool stuff we can do, we can add padding. So what padding will do is it will take anything inside of this div and it will give it a little buffer space. So let's say we put 10 px for padding. Now all of a sudden I have all this buffer space here. And another thing I can do is margin. So if I do margin 10 px, it actually creates a margin where it pushes it from the side, the top, the right, and the bottom. It gives it a little bit of a space there. Another thing that's really popular is border radius. What border radius does is it just adds a little bit of cornering to these. So maybe I'll do 5 px here. So it kind of softens these corners a little bit. So there's a little softness around these corners here. So this is just a very quick introduction to styling. However, I want to mention one other thing, and that's that we probably shouldn't be keeping all of this in a style tag here. Our website starts to get very out of hand very quickly if we put our styling in. So one thing that people generally do is you create another folder here. So I'm going to create a new folder in my project, and I'm going to call it styles. And then I'm going to make a new file called styles.css. And what I'll do is I'll go back to index, and I'm going to take all of this stuff out here, and I'm going to paste it in here, cut it, paste it. If I save this now, all of that styling is gone, and I can get rid of this style tag. But what I can do is I can link to the style sheet. I use link relation equals style sheet, and then we do the hyperlink reference like we did before, and we use a self-enclosing tag here. So we do ref equals, and just like we did with the image, we're going to use a relative path. So it's going to be /styles/styles.css. And now those styles are applied once again because we're linking to that style sheet. Now another really cool thing is when we use this kind of linking here, and actually when we have images as well, I'm going to press F12 in my browser here in Chrome, and what that's going to do is pull up the development tools, and I can see certain things in here. So if I go to network, which is right here, I can actually see the network traffic that occurs. If I refresh my page, I can see what's being accessed here. First of all, index.html is being accessed, and then styles.css is being called, which is a reference to this right here. And I can see in the response that that's what's returned here. I can also see that the profile picture was also sent in the response as well. Well, the data for the image at least. So anytime that I link stuff here, your browser will send another request to get those extra things. So it's going to grab the pictures, it's going to grab style sheets. If we have JavaScript scripts, it's going to grab those as well. But to keep our code organized, it generally is much, much better to have your styling pulled out into its own file rather than doing it within your index.html here.